Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Thank you all for some of these beautiful shalachmanas. I just got one here from Yaakov Razin, Yishkoyach, Rabbi Yaakov. Got from Garzi. Remember him? See, Yishkoyach. Mazel Tov. I made a siyum on Masechtas Megillah, my first siyum on Gemara in 13 years. Irving Levy, P.S. I'm only 13. Irving Levy, Deal, New Jersey. Deal! The guys from Deal.
13 years old, nobody named Irving.
In Deal, that's... They have names like that in Deal.
Irvings are born in 60.
Ron Sterling says that he wants to thank the entire MDY. It's been a while. But he mentions the Ara Merkaz, which I failed to mention over the weekend. Ara Merkaz by Moshe Hirsch is the publication, the weekly publication. So Yishkoyach for reminding me about it. MDY has built a tremendous program. It's completely restructured my week. I stay in touch during Shabbos through Ar HaMerkaz and find the content interesting and inspiring. A special shout out to the regular contributors that I look forward to meeting someday. Rav Yankiv Schoenberg is one of them. Quite frankly, I am finding Yevamos challenging to connect with, but MDY is a great help to encourage me to stick with it. I'm taking Yevamos a daf at a time. Thanks again to Shalom and Shalom to the Chabura, Rodney Sterling. Okay. By Phil Rosenblatt. Eli and everyone at MDY, no poem to write, not even a rhyme, just a big thank you, just don't have time. Thanks to Nachman, Noam, and Yosef and Avi, to Chaim Stone Tomer, and Sabrina Kamiansky. I'm not very good at these rhymes. Whereas been such an event to celebrate, a scene that was incredible, was truly so great. To join together for Limud Torah showing our thanks was clear. Has there ever been a gathering so large with those who learn with the same Magichir? May those who couldn't join us book your ticket now so you won't be sore. Say the Nashim ends on Friday, the 19th of Cheshvan in the year 5784. Rabbi, I thought about it. I looked it up. We could finish the entire Nashim in a year and 7 months. That includes Yevamos, Gitin, Kiddushin, Ksubis, Nazir, Saita, everything. A year and 7 months. Not too bad at all. So he's telling people to start booking their tickets. Thank you, Eli, for encouraging me to come. I'm not ready to call you Rebbe, but a bigger thanks goes to Fagi, the first lady of MDY. Uncle Phil. The Koil sponsor, Mr. Anonymous, Lil Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. Parasachaydish, Shauly Rosenfeld, in memory of my dear friend Yehuda Augenbaum. Parasachaydish, by the Lock Lebovic families, Lakewood, as a zechus for our families. Parasachaydish, Jonathan Davydov, for the Hatzlachah of the Davydov family. Shalom Benguigui, the OG Zucker's clan, Woody and Chewy, for getting me involved with the MDY. Rabbi said, take a look at the screen for a second. You got it? No, not yet. Ugh. Oh, no volume yet for you? Here we go, let's try.
Rav Eli, hi, how you doing?
Why is the barber bothering me about Daf Yomi? I'm trying to get a haircut. Tell him to keep his sorrows to himself.
And I'm trying to tell him to wear the blue string of tzitzit. Come on.
Reb Eli, if you put this video viral on YouTube and 10,000 people watch it, I'll start the daf.
There's one guy. He's done. He's chayiv. What else do we have here? How about this one? I think it's one of those schools over there.
You were that big.
Whoa. What was that? I don't know. I'm stuck here. Oh, you know what? How about this? There's another one here. No. Oh, here. This is a short one. You ready? Short one on the screen. Baboisai. Good morning, Baboisai. All right, fine. Come Purim. Rabboisai, here goes the daf. Yevamos. Yeah. You can see this one. Hold on a second. I'm just showing the screen. Show the screen for a second. That's now our final picture of a 2-month-old learning the daf. I don't know if he's sleeping, but his eyes are definitely into the mattress. It doesn't matter. We learned already that the sound that goes in, the Torah that goes in, stays. All right. We're holding 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Ches Amud Beis. V'Rebbe hayolel my ovidlei. So we had yesterday, if you take a look at the screen, Rebbe learns from this pasuk, ulekacha lo liisha v'yidma. He learns what everybody else learns from Alel. We're still busy with Alel. 6 daf later, Alel. They learn from Alel the idea that it's tzara, the speakers could go off. The tzara, shkoyach. Tzara is, that's him. Okay, yeah. Mabaya. You need a helper over there?
No, I'm just
Don't say.
Yeah.
Don't say what
That's what I say. By the way, if that kid could bring down that stork over there, it might help us. Bring it down. Why not? You wanna bring down the stork behind you? That guy behind you, to the left, Gary. Okay, not 1 second. We got a share going on here. He's busy. Okay, fine. It's not recording. Okay, so we'll stop. We'll wait until you get your thing done. But you don't want help, right? You don't need anybody to help you out there, right?
We can't all fit up there.
Sometimes people know how to do it without pressing the button. It's not recording, B'chlal? Let me know, seriously, let me know if it's not recording, because we need to get this recorded. Okay. Anyways, Avi, maybe send one of the kids up there to get that stork. He wasn't paying attention. No, it doesn't that now. Fine, let's start over. V'Rebbe, hayolel my ovidlei. Yesterday we're discussing, or for the last 6 days we're discussing the pasuk alel, which teaches us that a tzara is also asr, not only the erva, but also the tzara. So, I think the baby just. What? It's not a big deal. Okay, fine. It's big. Okay. Wow. It's a tightness. The Olam is in a great mood. Very late. Now, Rebbe, Ishkoyach. So this is the stork that we were talking about. Hi, Yosef. You like this? Is that a good thumbnail? Next. What happened? Let's see the damage here. Oy vey, Smear. What happened to this piece right over here? The Edgar is the baby survived the fall. Wow. This guy's name is Yisachar, by the way. I'm not kidding. Yisachar in the MDY.
Kiss the baby.
Unbelievable. Okay. A lot of work went into this guy, but whatever. This is the Baboisai. Shkoyach. Let's start over. So, for the last 6 weeks, we were learning about Aleh. And what does Rebbe do? Rebbe doesn't need Aleh. Rebbe has this pasuk, as you can see, Gershon's going to put on the screen in 25 seconds. V'lak chaloi liisha v'yibma. Here it is. So, he has the extra word Aleh. Look at this sanya. Now, let me just tell you the whole sugya all the way to the bottom of Amud Aleph. Very, very, very easy. It goes something like this. There are 5 categories you can see here in this picture right over here. The 5 categories. It's in small letters, so it's hard to see. One is tzibur. If people, the entire tzibur does an avera by mistake, the Sanhedrin told him to do an avera. You have the Kohen HaMashiach that does an avera. You didn't know something is asr. You have a yachid that does an avera. You have the tzibur that does avodah zara, and you have the individual that does avodah zara. You have 5 things according to Rebbe. According to everybody, you have those categories, but we'll put them in 5 categories. There's only one question here in this whole sugya. Where do we understand that these averas that they do, they have to bring certain karbanas. Here, let's say it looks like this. They bring a par on the top left corner, or a goat, or a sheep. But when do they do it? When do they have to bring it? For Lashon Hara, do they have to, if let's say the Sanhedrin said, you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara. They made a mistake, you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara in a certain case, and everybody spoke Lashon Hara. Do they have to bring one of these? No. It has to be an Aveira that you get kares for. In other words, if you do a b'shoigeg, you bring a chatos. In that particular case, then we're going to bring one of these animals. Now, once we know, this is why the sugya is so easy. Once we know the first one on the right, tzibur, they're all connected, like a chain. I'm going to learn the one from a Gzer Shava, the other one from a Vav. They're all connected. All I need is one source for tzibur, according to Rebbe, and I'll learn all 5 of them. Has to be bekares. It has to be a very strong aver of kares and b'shoigeg achatos. B'mezid kares, b'shoigeg chatos. Then I bring a carbon. I don't need a limud for a yachid. I don't need a limud for a kohen Mashiach. I need a limud for tzibur, and boom, 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 boom. That's the whole sugya. It's just drushes. It's a lot of words, but it's a very simple idea. According to Rabbanan, it's the same exact thing, but they read in English. They go from left to right. And they're going to go first from the Avodah Zarah of the Yachid, and from there I'm going to learn the other 4 things. It's really 5, but one is included in the other. But it's the same idea. That's Amud Aleph. We're going to have to run through Amud Aleph to get to Amud Beis, because there's a massive Rashi in Amud Beis, actually the longest Rashi in Shas. We're not going to do any of it. I'm going to explain 2 parts of it, and that's enough to understand the entire thing. Rashi just goes through 15 cases. We don't have to go through all 15. Zog the Gemara. So what does he do with this alel? Amazing. So Rebbe on this chart is going to learn the idea that you bring a carbon only when you're chayev. It's avera that if you did it b'mezi, you're chayev kares from the alel of Yibum. That's what he does with the alel. Just like Yibum, we're talking about Arayis and their kares. So too, this unrelated sugya is kares. If the Sanhedrin paskins halacha that's completely wrong, then you bring a carbon only if it's kares. The aver is kares and b'mezid and the b'shoigeg is chatas. V'chein ha-Mashiach. Mashiach means the kohen ha-Mashuach, the kohen who was anointed. If he makes a mistake, he also brings. V'loi b'avad is gechav in top of Tes Amud Aleph. And Avodah Zarah also. What kind of thing are you chayiv? What kind of Avodah Zarah are you chayiv? Zod and kares and shoigi chatas. If you are shechting a carbon to Avodah Zarah, you pour the wine to Avodah Zarah, you bow to Avodah Zarah. What if you kiss the Avodah Zarah? What if you hug the Avodah Zarah? You're not chayiv. Why? Because that's not how you do Avodah HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's not the derech. If it is the derech, like pa'ar, you relieve yourself in front of Avodah Zarah, that's the derech, then you're chayiv. Okay. So there's certain Avodah Zarah, certain ways that you are over Avodah Zarah, you're not chayiv, kares, and therefore you don't bring this kind of carbon. Usna nami, kol mitzvah shevatoi shechayim azdoni kares al shigos echatas. Any mitzvah in the Torah that you chayiv kares, or for shogi chatas, yachad maybe kizboy seira. Okay, here we go into the individual. Nasi, maybe sire. The individual brings a sheep. We learned once that the reason why you're able to bring a sheep is because a sheep has a tail, whereas a goat doesn't have a tail. Vatar chasa on the busha, the Torah was concerned about this guy's busha. Nobody should know that he was over avera, even if it was shaygig. It's an embarrassment to be over an avera b'shaygig. It's karv lemezid kind of. You should have been more careful. It has a tail. You don't know if it's a zachar and a keva. And maybe people are thinking that you're bringing a oila. But if you're mechuyev to bring a goat, which is the case of Avodah Zarah, Torah doesn't care about you. In other words, Torah wants you to be embarrassed. It's part of your kapara to be embarrassed. Mashiach ubezin mevi'im par. Nasi mevi sar. Mashiach ubezin mevi'im par. They bring a bull. Ubavadis gechavim yachin nasi u'mashiach mevi'im seira. It's not important to remember exactly what. Maybe it is important. It's just there's a lot of information here. This one brings this carbon. This one brings that carbon. In Yana the Yoma, part of the parsha that we're learning, Vayikra, a lot of this carbon, that carbon. Yachin nasi Mashiach mevi'im seira. Tzibur mevi'im par v'sar. They bring 2 things: a bull and a goat. It's kedai maybe to remember this for a second. The bull goes to the oila, the sar goes to the chatas. So now we're going to this Rebbe. What does he do with the aleh? How does he know it? The key word is aleh. It's exer shava. It says the word aleh over here by the chatos, by the tzibur. Rebbe it says by yibum in our mesech that says the word aleh. Just by this erva. Somebody's sister-in-law happens to be his wife's sister, falls to him liibum. She is, if you're miyavim or b'shoigi, you didn't know that it's aser, you have to bring a chatos. You did it b'mezid, you chayv kares. So too, this karban must be brought only in a situation of zodin kares shigug chatos. Ashgechan tzibur mashiach min olam. Now, how do I know the rest? So now we're just going to go through it. This one is related to this one, and this one is related to the next. Because we only know the first one by aleh, and then from there on we just learn limudim one to the other. It says ha'am, the nation. Okay, so the kayin HaMeshuach is like the nation. Yochid and Asi, how do we know them? Asya mitzvahs mitzvahs. Okay, there's a limud. Great. And how do I know the Rabbi side? Please turn off your phones. It's kind of annoying. I know you need to get that phone call, but before you come in, turn it off. And we're going to learn in the sugi later that if that a Rebbe yells at a Talmud sometimes, right, Judah? And he takes the Musar for a month. We'll see in a second. Okay, so we know that the community, when they do Aviz Kechavim, they also learn from the other one. It goes in a chain, as you see over here. Maybe you don't. Yachid Nasi Mashiach, Mive'im Nefesh Achas, Echad Yachid V'echad Nasi, V'echad Mashiach B'mashma, Vav Moisef Alin Rishon. We learn from the extra Vav, you learn from the one below. V'yilma Tachtim in Elyon, you learn from Tzibur, from the extra Vav. Great. So that was all Rebbe. Rebbe learned from Aleh. This what? Chacham learned from Aleh, the idea of Yibum, of a tzara, that you're not allowed to be miyabim, the co-wife. Rebbe doesn't need it. He learns it from Lakewood, V'yivma. So he learns all that. V'Rabbanan, high svar menalu. But Rabbanan don't have extra Aleh. What are they going to do? How do they learn all this that we just learned? That it has to be all these korbanos that you bring. It must be a very strong avera of shogig chatos mezid kares. Nafki lehu midamakrile Rabbi Shauly Brei Torah achas yelochem loisib shgaga. There's one Torah, there's one halacha for all those who do something b'shogig, and then it says right afterwards, the next pasuk, v'hanefesh asher tase biyod rama. Here, v'hanefesh asher tase biyod rama. Meaning, mina ezrach u'minageres Hashem hu megadef. Megadef is avodah zara. What's the halacha? V'nichrasa. So it says in the pasuk that a person is over avodah zara, he gets kares. Let's see how that works over here. Okay. So as you see in this chart, what's the first thing to the left? Avodah Zara, it's hard to see, it's small letters and it's blocked by the chain. Avodah Zara, Yachid, it says over there. So that's what we're learning over here. The clock is in the way, but fine. Yeah, you can see. Avodah Zara, Yachid. That's the first one that we just learned. V'hanefesh asher tase biyod rama is a pasuk that tells you that if a Yachid does Avodah Zara b'mezid, he gets what? The last word in the pasuk is v'nichrasa. V'nichrasa. So in Meila, I take the chain and I keep on going weiter. So all the mitzvahs are like Avodah Zara, Ma'aved Zikachavim, Dov Shechayom, Azoni Kares, Ashigot Sechatos. Here. Now, the following, a few psukim before, in Pasuk Chav Zayin, that was, I think, Lamed, it says, V'nefesh Achas Dechto Bishgaga, here's a shogig, V'kriva Eis Bashnos L'chatos. So you see, that pasuk is talking about kares. That pasuk is talking about mezid, and what do you get? Kares. Over here you see shogig, you bring a chatos. So you see that they're connected. Mezid kares, shogig chatos. And for the rest of the Torah, it would be the same thing. It has to be an avera that the shogig is a chatos and the mezid is a kares. Mazel tov Levi, Mazel tov. I mean, nobody knows that he just came in, but it happens to be that Levi married off his son, so Mazel tov. Evafal Pikain, he's coming to Shir 3 days later. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yishkoyach. I've called Dav Shecham Azdoni Kor that she goes to Chadas. Not like, what's your name again? Shmuel? What's the last name? Israeli. He came the following morning. That was Chashav. You also did, no, Levi? The next morning you didn't come? I thought I saw you. He's in the Waldorf. The Chassan was in the Waldorf. Fine, whatever. Fine. I called Dav Shecham Azdoni Kor that she goes to Chadas. Ashkechon Yosef ben Nasi Mashiach ben Bavadis Kechavim ben Mishar Mitzvahs. Tzibor, how do I know the community? Bavadis Kechavim ben Ayin. Amakra. Vim Nefesh. Remember that limud that Rebbe brought before? Vim Nefesh is B'Yachid. V'Yilmad El Yoin. Metachton, you learn the Tzibor from the Yach. El Tzibor Shar Mitzvahs min Alon. And how do you know the community with all mitzvahs and Torah, not just Avodah Zarah? Yolav Meini Meini. Okay, we have another limud. Rebbe, Hai Torachas, my Ovidlei. Rebbe, who's learning all of this from what? From our favorite word, Oleha. So what does he do with Torachas? You see that the Torah made differentiated between individuals and the whole community that does Avodah Zarah. What is that called? The community that does Avodah Zarah? Irani Dachas. Yechidim b'skila. What's the worst way to die in Bezdin? Skila, to get stoned. So since the individual gets the worst of the worst, lefichach mamayim palat. That's why we're going to save. We're going to spare all his money. We're not going to destroy his money. He already suffered enough during his death. Merubin, but when a whole city does Avodah Zarah b'sayif, they get off easy. They kill them quickly. Lefichach mamayim avad. So we have to add to the punishment. It all equals up at the end of the day. The punishment is going to be as X. So, if the death is easy, get rid of his money also. Death is hard, let his family enjoy. So this is an important 2 words here. I would think that their carbon should be different. Should be different. They're not similar to anything else. No. That's why Rebbe needs a pasuk to say the carbon is the same, the yachid and the meruba, they're the same, even though they're very different. They have different misas, and we do different things with their money. Carbon is the same because the Torah achas yelachem. The Gemara wants to understand. Let's say the carbon is different. Give me one type of carbon that this person could bring that's different. Other than, let's say, a giraffe, it's impossible because every single carbon is already accounted for. You're saying it should be different. Here, maskiv law. You need a special puzzle. You should bring a different carbon. My lesu, tell me exactly what he should bring. Lesu par, if he has to bring a bull, it's already spoken for. The community, when they do any avera, the Sanhedrin tells them to do an avera, they have to bring a bull. So he can't bring a bull because he just said he has to be different than everybody. Kizboy should bring a lamb, Yochel b'shar mitzvah the maisi, or Yochel brings it. Nasib Sawyer should be gold. Nasib Shar Mitzvahs the Maisi. Par Loyal Sor Lechatas. Okay, maybe you should bring 2. Tzibur Bavitz Gechavim with the Maisi. They already bring those 2, a bull and a goat. Velamai Siro Yochanami Anu Korbanoi. So maybe it should be a she goat. Yochanami Korbanoi. It also it's a carbon of an individual. Says Gemara. It's so that Chamina Hoyel B'Tzibur Bahira Maisu. Par Loyal Sor Lechatas. Yinunami Nesu Ibcha. Okay, we have the 2 karbanas. Par la'ila v'sar lechatas. Flip it. Do a par lechatas and sar la'ila. That's different. It's in the Torah. It's not a funny animal. It's not a giraffe. It's in the Torah, par v'sar, but for different things. Inami or another thing. Sar takana. I would have, listen, I can't find a good carbon for him because everything that you want him to bring is already brought by somebody else and you want it to be different. He can't be different. If he can't be different, he has 0 kapara. Maybe you don't bring a carbon. Shalom Yisrael, Kamash Malon. That is the end of that sugya. And here we go, Rabbi Isai. A beautiful, beautiful sugya. Ole Levi Lerebi. Ma'ir Yodatoni Tesvav Lifzni Tezayin. Now, talking about riddles. A lot of this, you could look at it as mind opening, getting your brain cells to work a little bit. We're used to like Megillah, we're sitting and it's like all these stories and schmack of stuff. I have to figure out the riddle. But listen to this. Levi, who's a big gadol, not just a katlikanya, he's not a joke, he's a Levi. It's brought down in the Gemara all the time, Levi. He goes to Rebbe, the famous Rebbe who wrote the Mishnah, and he says, listen, I don't understand why there are 15 saras, 15 cases in the Mishnah, there should be 16. Doesn't explain himself. Rebbe, genius, understood immediately what he meant, and turns around and shtachs him. Says, what are you talking about? You don't make any sense. He didn't even explain to him. It's all in Ramazim. So, listen to Zayin. I'm just saying, this is starting out the sugya with people with heads. Rebbe tells him, it seems like you don't have a brain. How can you think that the 16 and not 15? Now I'm going to tell you what you're thinking. You're thinking a particular case, your case is off. So Stamazai, there's a Maisa where a guy went for a brain transplant, and he went to the hospital, and he asked what's available. They said, listen, you could get a man's brain or a woman's brain. Which one do you want? He said, what's the difference? He says, a big difference. Man's brain is $1 million. Woman's brain is $5,000. So all the men are male chauvinist. He says, what's shot? He says, man's brain is unused, brand new, $1 million. You need a brain transplant? Now another zechus I want to tell you is that because it's Erev Purim, you can say Purim Torah. You can say Purim Torah. Ein loy moyach, mem vav ches is 54. MDY is 54. Ein loy moyach b'kat kadai. If you don't have MDY in your head, oy vavoy. Weiter. L'kavet Purim. My daitoch, because you're going to say moyach is not really mem vav ches, but it is. In my Gemara it says mem vav ches here. So it's an unbelievable lashon. Obviously, the Achronim talk about it. You're supposed to talk nicely to your Talmud. Levi was on a very high madrega. He was a very, very chashuv. He needed that. He took it. You have to think things through before you ask a kasha. Okay, my daitoch. Let me try to explain to you what you were trying to tell me. Imay anusas aviv. You probably wanted to say this case. Check this out. Okay, so imay anusas aviv. What happened is that the burqa lady was violated. You could actually look at it, and instead of saying violated and the R word, and I got yelled at, what do you say, rape? Well, okay, fine. You use the word violated. But you could actually look at it not in such a way. You could look at it as a civil marriage. People the two of them were let's say a couple. They didn't get married with nisuin, with the kiddush and nisuin, and they produced a child called Ruvain. Okay, great. It happens to be the halacha that Shimon, who's also the son of that plumber guy, he's allowed to marry his father's anusa. Because the only thing a son is not allowed to do is marry your father's wife. But burqa lady is not his father's wife. It happens to be his father's anusa. So as you can see, Shimon, there's a green line between the burqa lady and Shimon. So Shimon went ahead and married the burqa lady. And Reuven is his brother. Now, Shimon is also married to the 5-town lady. He has 2 wives now. When Shimon goes bye-bye, what happens to the 2 women? They fall to Reuven. Guess what? One of them is Reuven's mother. Reuven was born from burqa lady and the plumber. Shimon is the plumber's son. Shimon is allowed to marry the burqa lady. Why? Because the burqa lady is not his father's wife. The burqa lady was only civilly married to his father. They weren't religious, they were civilly married. It's proper, mamish proper. And he's allowed to marry, you hear this? Bali tshuva. He's allowed to marry his father's wife, the civil wife, not a halachic wife. And then when his own brother, when Shimon dies, childless, and his wives fall to Yibum to his brother Ruvain, he cannot be miyabim either one of them. Fits beautifully in the Mishnah. It's his own mother fell to him, so obviously he's not going to be miyabim his own mother. But because she has a co-wife, 5-town lady, he cannot marry the 5-town lady. Why is it not in the Mishnah? So Rebbe chaps this. Rebbe understands that that's what he's asking. But you're mamish. You're not 100. You're talking like a guy that doesn't have a brain. My daitoch, it's not so pashit that Shimon can marry this Berka lady. That's a machlokes. Our Mishnah is telling you halachas that are accepted upon everybody. No shayla b'chlal. What do you mean? We're going to have a bunch of it, but basically arayis that are only the Rabbanon. Or let's say a mamzer falls to you. Someone has produced from Isser a mamzer. The pligi Rabbanon, that is a machlokes v'katani. It's in the Mishnah later on. B'pirkin ka'amrinon. The first parak of Yevamos has no machlokes. Yeah, later on in second parak there'll be a machlokes of Rebbe Kiva. That's what I'm talking about. Says Gemara, believe it or not, all the tsarasin of the Mishnah, the 15 tsaras, if there's a co-wife, a yevama, let's say it's your daughter and she has a co-wife, you're allowed to marry the co-wife according to Beis Shammai. Says the Gemara, Beis Shammai b'makom Beis Hillel leina Mishnah. Since Beis Hillel is so accepted as the halacha, there's no shaila anywhere in Shas that we go with Beis Hillel, so we don't even consider their argument as an argument, which is amazing because la'asad lavai, we're going to pass it like Beis Shammai. They're not a joke. They were even sharper than Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel more onav than them. Okay. Ask the Gemara, Varei Eishes Achiv Shloi Hoya Bar Lamai. The pligi Reb Shimon Rabbanon Vikatani. Okay. Wow, check this chart out. Sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Shmuley Sugar, the original sugarshaker. Sponsored by Moshe Kinsbursky in honor of Brian and Talia Edgar. Okay. So there are two ways that Eishesach of Shloya Ba'ilami could happen. Here's your Eishesach. The first guy, he came with a stork. Mamash, he's wearing tchelis, this bird. He has art scroll, MDY thing. There's a lot of detail here. He's learning art scroll. He came out of the stomach learning art scroll. Amazing. He looks a sticker like Bennett, no? With the yarmulke? Okay.
Bennett's yarmulke is way past. It's way in the back.
Okay. The Billyack Reb Shimon Rabbanon. So let's just look at the chart for a second. If a brother dies, step one, the brother dies. And then step two, the little guy was born after the death of his brother. In other words, after his brother let his Yevama, the brother had a wife, the Yevama fell to Yibum, to Shimon, and only afterwards Yisachar was born. So Yisachar can't marry that Yevama. He wasn't alive when Reuven was married to his wife. He came only afterwards. So Shimon in step 3 was miyabim when? After he was born. And Shimon has another wife. You see that little, what do we call her? Barayin lady. Yisachar cannot marry the Yerushalmi lady because it was Eishes actually Hoya Ba'ilami. He wasn't around. He wasn't born yet when his brother died. His brother died. Let's say he was born right before his brother died. Obviously, he could be miyabim. But since he was born right after his brother died, and before Shimon had a chance to marry the Yerushalmi lady, so he is forever and ever asur on the Yerushalmi lady. And if Shimon has a bat ayin lady as a wife as well, and then Shimon dies, that little baby can't even marry the bat ayin lady. Why? Because bat ayin is a tzara. She's a co-wife with Yerushalmi lady. That's one way to look at it. Everybody agrees that's a problem. But what happens if you go to the left of that? Same thing, but we're going to switch when he was born. If he's born after Shimon was miyabim, that's a different story. Because when he came into the world, so Mace, Reuven dies, Shimon right away goes the next day before the Levaya is miyabimer. Okay? And he has another wife. And then 5 months later, a baby is born, a brother is born. They're all Baldwins, by the way. They're all brothers, right? Reuven, Shimon, and Yisachar are brothers. But since when Yisachar, the baby, came into this world, he found his brother already married to this woman. Why does he care, says Reb Shimon, that his brother used to be married? He had another brother, and he was married to this woman, and he died. Who cares? He came into this world, he finds his brother married to a woman. It's just like any other brother. Now that Shimon dies, he could be miyabim, the Yerushalmi lady, and certainly Badayin lady. That's what Reb Shimon holds. It's machlokes. Oh, but it's machlokes. We don't talk about machlokes in why are you bringing it down? Says the Gemara, Reb Shimon. The ones on the right, that Yisachar was born before the Ibum, is not a machlokes. Even Reb Shimon agrees that he cannot be miyabimer. What do you mean? But there's some say that this whole chart is a machlokes, even the first case. No, he talks of Rabbi Shaya. No, he was slugged up, checkmate to him, and he doesn't even count his kasha. Rabbi Yehuda, what? Another case, but it doesn't matter because we have one solid case. There's no machlokes. I'm talking about the there's no machlokes. Oh. Rabbi Isai, this Rashi right over here is the longest Rashi in Shas, close to 1,000 words. What Rashi is trying to do is this line right over here. All 15 of the Mishnah, let's just show you the chart. Very, very simple stuff. Bemes. I'm not very good at this whole, you have to have like this mathematical thing. I don't have that kind of head to understand. Sometimes you meet a guy. Stefansky. Your grandmother was my cousin's wife's mother. What? Mother-in-law. From the first marriage, because Yankov on the second marriage, they were... Okay, but this is very simple. Bemis. We had this case yesterday. We have the Baldwin brothers, as you can see, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, right? They're all brothers. They married two sisters, the Yerushalmi ladies. Oi, I forgot to put the yellow. We changed her color. In the next chart, hopefully. Yeah, here she is in yellow. Okay. Made it a little easier to see. So, Reuven marries Rachel, and they have tags now, everything is good, not in this one. Reuven marries Rachel, and then Reuven dies. Shimon marries Leah, and then Shimon dies. They both fall to Levi. Could Levi marry any one of them? No. What is that called? Achois skukasai. They're two sisters that fell to Zika to Levi. They both of the Yerushalmi ladies now belong to Levi, so to speak. And you can't marry sisters. They have skika, they have a bond to Levi. He needs to be miyav. They can't get married to anybody in the street. They must go to him. So now two sisters go to him. Okay. Now, let's go back to that one for a second before I confuse everybody. So the Gemara says like this. It's possible that if Levi is related to Yerushalmi lady next to him, so you don't have two sisters falling to him, you only have one of the two. Because one of those two sisters happens to be his daughter. I'm going to ask you, how could that possibly be? How could it be? The sisters, how could it be? Oh. So that's the genius of the Gemara. It's beautiful. If you think about it, instead of looking at it as like, well, it's such a confusing case, think about how you would come up with this case. How would you do it? Rashi goes through every single case that it's possible in the Mishnah. They have two sisters in every single case. One is mutter to Levi, one is aser. And then the other one is mutter to Yehuda and aser to Yehuda. One is mutter to this one and aser to that one. And the one that's mutter to this one is aser to the other brother. You're going to have two brothers. We're going to have 6 brothers total here. Let's see. Let's take this case for a second. Balpeh. How's it possible that this case happens with your own daughter? So check this out. We have 4 Baldwin brothers, and we're going to add another 2 babies. No, not two babies. That's the next case. So what happened was, Reuven and Shimon were both married, so to speak, civilly. Okay? Violated the Burka lady. And they had from the Burka lady, daughters. Reuven had Rachel, Reuven had Rachel, and Shimon had Leah. Now, Rachel and Leah are sisters. Everybody agrees that Rachel and Leah are sisters because they were born from the Burka lady. They were both born from, but their fathers are different, Reuven and Shimon. Now, Levi, all the way to the right, number 3, could he marry Rachel? Yes, he's not related to her. It's just his brother's daughter, so he marries her. Could Yehuda, all the way to the left, marry Leah? Yes. So now you have 2 brothers that marry 2 sisters. Levi and Yehuda married 2 sisters. These 2 sisters happen to be the daughters of 2 brothers, of their brothers. Now, if Levi and Yehuda go bye-bye, what happens to these women? They fall to Yibum. To who? To their own fathers. But not both of them to their own father. One of them to the father, one of them to the other. So look what happens here. Reuven is permitted to marry Leah because it's not his daughter. He didn't father her. That was Shimon that fathered her. And Shimon is permitted to Rachel. So here you have 2 sisters, that one brother is mutter on one and usher on the other, and the other brother is usher to one and mutter the other. Huh? Goyness.
The person not let him marry.
The Olam is smiling behana.
The person not let him marry the mother and the daughter.
He didn't marry him.
He did, because if he takes one of those daughters, the mother was the Burka lady.
Yeah.
He was with the Burka lady, now he's with the Burka lady's daughter. How could he be with the Burka lady and her daughter?
That's bitoy. That's bitoy. That's exactly bitoy. Exactly. Hello. That's bitoy. That's bitoy. Fine. Next. Now let's see inside. We're only going to do one more case, Rabbi Isai. Rashi goes through all 15 cases. Anybody want to do it yourself. We're not going to do Rashi's 960 plus words, whatever it is. Says the Gemara. That's one of the harder ones, by the way. But I had to bring it because the Gemara is talking about it. And one of the sisters, Rabbi Yehuda, this is what we just learned. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't count the first 6, which includes this case of Bitoy. Why? My timer. This whole case is only because Reuven Shimon violated Burka lady. But it can't happen la halacha. So I'm not talking about things that are illegal. I only give you cases that are legal from a mother-in-law and on. And Abaye says, I'm going to do all of them. Since it's physically possible in this world, if it's from a civil marriage, from a legal marriage, that I can't do for you. My timer. As I explained before, it only works according to Reb Shimon, who says that if the boy Yisachar was born after the Yibum, it can work. I don't want to get involved in a machlokes. Rabbi said this is the final case. It's going to take 2 minutes, but it's kedai. It's geshmak shein kemayu, and it's easy. It's possible it's 6 brothers, and according to Reb Shimon, and that's the question. The question is going to be, but it's a machlokes. You just told me there's no machlokes. Yesimanech meis noilad v'yibem, meis noilad v'yibem. We're familiar with that. If you do that the Yavam died, and then the kid was born, Yisach was born, and then Shimon was miyabim, and then you do Shimon died, Zvulun was born, and a different brother was miyabim, then it works out fine. Take a look at the chart. That is in the art scroll. But we don't do art scroll like that. We do it like this. Again? We could do it like that. Or like this. I think this is a little bit better. Okay, so we have the 4 Baltimore brothers. Sorry, Mendy. Sorry, Michila. I don't say it that much anymore. We have the 4 Baldwin brothers. They're all brothers. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. Reuven marries one sister, Rachel. You see, now they have the name tags. They're all good. I called up Yoshi. Yoshi, help me out. 12:30, he sends it to me in the morning, after his meetings and everything. In Mamish, in a few minutes, they're able to do it. Not a problem. Shimon marries the other sister, Leah. Both of these brothers die. Bye-bye. So now the 2 sisters fall to the 2 brothers. Okay? But before that happens, check this out. These are the 2 brothers. This is Yisachar and Zvulun. We just introduced a new character. That's a second brother. Same thing, also twin. Shtuk Hasidish has a casket. A lot of people don't know. The bird is the one that brought in the... Okay, fine. Now, if we go... You guys are familiar with this, so don't get confused by the lines. If Reuven dies, and then Yisachar was born, so Yisachar is usher to the Yerushalmi lady. Why? Because when he came into the world, his brother Reuven was already dead, and his brother Levi wasn't married to her. He came in when she was a Yevamos. Rabbi say, you hear this? It's not kedai for you to look backwards when I'm talking this way. You want to understand this case, I'm telling you, it's geschmack, you're going to love it. Again, there's 6 steps here. Meis noilad yibem, meis noilad yibem. But we're talking about 2 brothers. Step number 1 is, the brother Reuven died. Right afterwards, Yisachar was born. Yisachar's usher on Yerushalmi lady. But guess what? He's going to be mutter to her sister. Why? Because he's alive already. And when Shimon dies and leaves over Leah, his previous... Look, you see? You remember Shimon was married to Leah? When he was born, when little Yisachar was born, Shimon was alive and well with his wife. So it's he's always mutter to Shimon's wife. So here you have a case, if you stop right here, you have a case where Yisachar's usher to Leah, to Rachel, and mutter to Leah. But let's go a little bit weiter. What about the second kid, the Chassidish baby, Zvulun? He is mutter to Rachel because when he came into this world, his brother Levi was miyabim Rachel already. He comes into a marriage. He doesn't care what happened to Reuven, that he's dead and whatever happened to him. He heard about him, it's history. But right now, his sister-in-law is married to his brother Levi. You hear Dr. Factor? Why? How can you be sleeping when I'm talking about Levi? Get over here. So, and then Yehuda is miyabim Leah, which is Shimon's wife. So Zvulun, the Hasidic kid, cannot marry Leah forever. Why? Because he was born after Shimon died. But he could be miyabim Rachel. If you take that little twin guy, Bennett, he can never be miyabim Rachel, but he could always be miyabim Leah. So you have a case of 2 sisters. One is mutter to one brother, and one is usher to him, and one is mutter to the other brother, and usher to him. Have a wonderful day. Have a freilich Purim. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, 7:15. Chakras, I believe, is 1 million only at... Is 2 million? 6 is the first million. I don't know if there's going to be a second million. Check it out.